Hettie clutched her reticule, feeling the crumpled letter inside against her tight fist. It contained only 2 sentences. I know who you are. Nothing but the bastard daughter of a second son. A scribbling that could easily upend her careful world. She had received it earlier in the week while shopping with her Aunt Anastasia. An errand boy had shoved the note into her palm and run away without a word. All her life she'd clung to the hope that her parents had loved her in their own way, that their absence had not been due to a want of feeling, but a trick of fate. Although they had been only spectres in her childhood, people she knew of but had never interacted with, she always imagined their absence to be born from a need to safeguard her life while her mother stayed with her father in India, where he was stationed. She never imagined it was out of pure selfishness or thoughtlessness. If true, the contents of this letter not only disproved that theory, but threatened her very identity and place in society. Only a year prior, during her second season, she had learned of her parents' deaths at sea. A hollow feeling had burrowed into her heart at the news, or perhaps it had always been there, but she felt it more sharply, knowing now that it would never be filled. She would never meet them. She would not know the sounds of their voices. They would never be part of her life. A lifetime of letters didn't make up for the void they'd left behind. That season had been cut short to accommodate mourning that she wasn't sure she truly felt. But the break was a relief, if only to give her time to understand her feelings. She was sad for the lives cut short, but mostly she felt bitterly disappointed and angry. Her father was forced to stay away due to his profession, but her mother could have stayed with her. Didn't she want to watch her daughter grow up? Now, due to their indiscretion, this season was bound to be harrowing as well. Nevertheless, as a young woman of means, an orphan's life had not been her cross to bear. For the years of non-attendance before her parents' deaths, 2 people had filled their roles. Now they were flanking her at the perimeter of the ballroom, her Aunt Anastasia and Uncle Gabriel, the Marchioness and Marquis of Lindsay. It was as much for them as it was for herself that she was determined to find out the truth. It would affect their reputation as much as hers, but before she said anything, she needed to know who the culprit was and what they knew. The author of the wicked letter crushed in her hand had promised answers at tonight's ball. The final line had informed her they would wear a red rose to denote their identity. Hettie's sweaty palms had her grateful for the elbow-length kidskin gloves, though she could not help anxiously glancing around every time a new person entered the ballroom, nor stopped the nervous tapping of her foot. "Remember to breathe, Marsigny," Anastasia said as she twisted the fan in her gloved hands. Her crystal blue eyes darted around the ballroom. "Yes, Tante," Hettie replied, letting out the breath she'd unconsciously been holding. "You look beautiful." Her aunt gave a nervous smile no less dazzling than the diamond tiara nestled in her lush dark hair. "Just breathe and smile and all will be well." "Unlikely. Ma bichette," Gabriel said, leaning down slightly to murmur to his wife with a twinkle in his sky-blue eyes. "If you want a new fan, you need only ask. Why strangle this one?" "What?" Anastasia gave him a distracted look as he plucked the silken object from her grasp and took her slender, gloved hand in his. They were an interesting couple. Him, tall, dark-haired and imposing, from his aquiline nose to his thin, brooding mouth, and her, slender and charming, with 1,000 different smiles. As terrifying as her uncle could appear physically, there was no one more loving than he, and her aunt's effortless charm hid a sharp tongue that she wielded to devastating effect.